Well, again, I want to say that it is very important regarding the nature of the book of Revelation that we study the nature of the book before we even begin to look at it. Revelation is a book that uses great literary devices known as simile and metaphor. It uses visual images to make its points. It talks about a beast rising up out of the sea. It describes the Antichrist in that way. It says he will have a false prophet who goes before him, which is the beast that comes out of the earth in Revelation 13. It describes the false religious system of the day as the great harlot. So we see the use of simile and the use of metaphor. And one of the great cares that we must use when we look at any passage that is in the book of Revelation is how we are to interpret it. And the first thing that I want to help you distinguish this morning is that when you begin to read the book of Revelation and you begin to study the book of Revelation, you need to understand there's not a uniform understanding among all Christians about how it is to be approached. In your notes, I gave you 3 different approaches that people have taken to understand the book of Revelation. The first one on the notes you will see is called the preterist view. Preterist, according to this view, most or all of Revelation was fulfilled in the first century church, commonly limited to events surrounding the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. So this is what preterism teaches. Preterism, if you ever were to hear that word, or to hear someone who says, I hold to a preterist view of the book of Revelation, here's what they're teaching. They're teaching that the book of Revelation has already been completed. Everything that the book of Revelation gives has already been done. At least most of it has. There are those who call themselves partial preterists. There are others who call themselves full preterists. And a full preterist believes that everything in the book of Revelation has already taken place. That the destruction that happened to Jerusalem in AD 70, when the Romans came in and destroyed Jerusalem, that was a fulfillment of the book of Revelation. How many of you have ever heard of the Bible Answer Man? The Bible Answer Man is on the radio. He's a very famous speaker. His name is Hank Hanegraaff. Hank Hanegraaff is a preterist. He believes that the book of Revelation has already been fulfilled. I like to tell you this because if you're listening to these people, sometimes understanding what they think about the future helps you understand how they're interpreting the past. The second view is the historicist. The person who believes, let me read it to you, that the book is a panorama of the great events spread through history relative to God's people. In this view, many of the events described, such as the wars and the famines, are simply descriptions of events that have been handed down through the ages. So they look at the book of Revelation like this. From chapter 1 to chapter 22, it's simply a panorama of things that will happen. There will be wars and there will be times of peace. There will be times of great famine. There will be times of great plenty. And it's just an up and down. And we look in the history of the church and we say, yes, I can see somewhat how that could be understood that way. Yet at the same time, is that really the way it's meant to be understood? Well, that is how some take it. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, I believe, is known for a historicist approach to understanding Revelation. Finally, there is the futurist understanding of Revelation. And this says basically this. Most of the fulfillment of the book of Revelation is still to come. It's still in the future. It is highly literalistic in its interpretation, and it sees much of Revelation being fulfilled in the 7-year tribulation that is yet to come. So the question becomes this. Does Revelation contain information about something that happened in the past? Does it contain information about things that have happened throughout the past since the time of Christ? Or does it foretell of a future time that has not yet been realized? I would submit unto you that the futurist position is the most logical. That the futurist position is the most logical because of this. If you study the book of Revelation, and also if you study along with it the book of Daniel, you will find there an understanding that there has been tribulation throughout the history of the church, but there is a tribulation that is beyond all that we have ever understood, and it's yet to come. I mentioned Revelation 13. Revelation 13 talks about a one-world government. It talks about a one-world religious system. And it talks about a one-world financial system. And I ask you, has there ever been a time where those three things have ever coincided? Not that I know of. They have come close. There have been world superpowers in the past. But when I look at the book of Revelation, especially chapter 13, which talks about the beast who will rise up out of the sea. This is a picture of the Antichrist who will rise up. I can't help but to believe in my heart that there is coming a day when there will be one who rises up and as Christ, or as an antichrist, pretending to be like Christ, will gather followers to himself. And there will be people who want to worship him. You know, people talk about the mark of the beast. That's in Revelation 13 as well. The 666 number. It says, know the number of his name. It is 666, says the King James Version. 666. And it says some will take the mark on their hand, some will take the mark on their forehead. And we've all heard about that before, right? We've all heard about the mark of the beast. Many people have conjectured that the mark of the beast will be some type of a chip that is implanted in the body. Because it says without that mark you will not be able to buy or sell anything. Think about up until recently. Did you ever think in your lifetime, many of you who are here, did you ever think in your lifetime there was going to come a day when you would freely walk around with no cash in your pockets but just all plastic? Probably not. I would never feel secure enough to walk around with just a plastic card in my pocket and all it has is my name on it. Yet we see this. There are many reasons why I would argue for the futurist interpretation of Revelation, and that would begin with the understanding that there is a tribulation that's yet to come. And that the tribulation will be worse than anything that could be imagined. The second